When you're starting off in life and also during your mid-career, you can learn a lot about yourself by just answering a few questions.
Like, what kind of hobbies do you have? What kind of job titles interest you? What kind of physical tasks do you like to be doing? What kind of people do you like to be around?
Answers to questions like these really tell you a lot about your interest, but interest really explains your vigor and your persistence and the drive that you have towards reaching those goals. The Strong Interest Inventory is 291 questions broken up into a few different sections that help you understand your interests. We ask you a certain question, and the question has multiple components. What am I interested in? And then a direction towards that. Am I interested in a person? Do I like helping people, or do I like analyzing data? So a simple question actually has multiple complexity to it that helps us determine what are the activities and what are the subject matter that someone might have interest in.
The Strong actually started developing back with a gentleman named Dr. E.K. Strong. He's a Stanford University professor in the 1920s. Over the years, it's evolved many, many times. At some point in the 60s, John Holland actually his theory of 6 occupational themes was added to Strong's theory of occupations. So it's both an empirical research tool as well as a theoretical model for looking at careers.
This is an assessment, it's not a test. A test is something that tells you whether you're right or wrong. The Strong isn't going to tell you whether you're right or wrong. The Strong is going to help you figure out what you can do.
There are 6 interest areas known as the RIASAC, which is realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, conventional. Out of those 6 letters, most of us will pick 3 that will describe us overall. And they not only describe us vocationally, what we want to do professionally, but also what we want to do in our free time. So these letters actually form a pattern to describe how we behave, what kind of choices we make, including what kind of careers and hobbies we choose as well.
So many students are exposed to only what they know, and they're also oftentimes shepherded by their parents into what their parents know. And oftentimes there's a lot of value judgment around that. So the world of work is so large and it's expanding and changing so rapidly that parents and students, they only know their small sliver. So as students explore a career or an internship, which is a first step towards a career, what we've done is map interests to different careers.
Students are going to learn more and they're going to be more engaged if they get to be involved in things that they're passionate about. And so our career emphasis is through the internship program, and our students, by exploring, are able to narrow down their choices on their future college and career paths. We have an internship coordinator, Robert Fung, and in the beginning of every school year for the first 6 weeks, he is training students on Tuesdays and Thursdays before they ever get to go out and have their first interview and get their first internship. And part of his training is doing the Strong Interest Inventory so that students can start looking at exploring what their interests are and what kind of careers they might want to try to line up for possible internships.
The questions tend to be very direct and very straightforward. Do you want to be a carpenter? Do you want to be a firefighter? Do you like to decorate cakes? Do you like to sew clothing? The way the test is formulated is that it takes these results and it compares your answers to the answers of people who have taken this in the past over the decades that the test has been used.
The Strong gives, in one section, it gives you a list of your top 10 occupations. The average student who sees their top 10 occupations, actually the average adult, the average human being who sees their top 10 occupations goes, oh, you're kidding me, no way. So I have to help people understand what it's really saying. So it's not saying you should go be a translator. It's saying that you have a lot in common with people who currently do translation jobs and who like it. And if you have answered questions on the strong in a similar manner that people who are in the occupation have answered it, there's a good chance that you would like either the kind of work or certainly the work environment that they're in, because you're like those people.
We find across the board is that students are fascinated by their results. Again, they describe a sense of motivation, a sense of belonging, and a sense of understanding who they are. But more importantly, they have a vocabulary for describing that. So when they talk to their parents, when they talk to their teachers, they can say, this is who I am, and this is the scientific basis for that.
The value of this test is that it helps you understand more about yourself and how you can use your interests to pursue career goals. When we help the students invest this amount of time into understanding their interests through a tool like the Strong Interest Inventory, they have a chance to see from the beginning that they can create a roadmap for their experiences, for their work experiences. That map can take them in many different places, but it's not erratic. It's very, very goal-focused.
Students love taking the strong. In fact, most students love taking assessments, period, because when they come into a career development office, they're there to try to figure something out.
Once you're done taking the assessment, your counselor will be notified, your career coach will be notified. And then they will look at your results, and then they will get back to you they will either send you the results or they will have a session with you to discuss whatever your results are and interpret those.
So it's fun to try to to see what the results would be. The challenge is helping a student understand what they really mean, because what they're coming in for is the answer. Tell me what I should do. So they want it to just be, yes, you should be a doctor, you should be a teacher. But it's not that simple with career assessments, because we can't go into you and decide for you, or look at all the elements of who you are, because it's not just one thing that can decide whether a certain career is good for you. The next step is that you're actually going to go interpret two strongs. You're going to do a case study with a real client that I've actually worked with, and then you're going to pair up. But what career counselors do is look at all the different components, and career assessment's a major part of that.
We tend to think about assessments as important in the initial career choice, and of course they are. But I find that they can also be a very important tool for engagement. Most of the managers and the leaders in the organizations that I work with say, I want to know what my people want to do. And it would be great if they could articulate that. And so I think part of the assessment process really enables people to develop that clarity and to bring that in conversations to their employer so that they're able to really bring some opportunities and some options for how they could make their best contribution.
It's very common in mid-career, people who've already gone through 20 years of their career. Maybe they were in the military, maybe they were a teacher or in some other pension job where this is it. After 20 years, they're like, well, what am I going to do next? An assessment really helps remind you of what those things were in your life that drive you. What makes you happy? What are those things that you did maybe when you were in school years ago, like, oh my God, I love that class. That class is so much fun, and I remembered I wanted to do something with it, and then I forgot.
Self-awareness is the new currency. And if you think about it, if I have, as an individual, know what my talents are, what my professional interests are, what brings meaning to me, then I'm more apt to have ideas about how I can contribute and make a difference in the organization that I'm a part of. And that's valuable to organizations today.
Before now, assessments have been delivered in a one-on-one fashion between a practitioner and a student. And we're looking to find new ways to provide more universal access to our assessments, especially to underserved populations.
We did take this effort to develop this new version called the Super Strong.
So the Super Strong is actually derived from the Strong Interest Inventory. So it's a tool that's 60 questions versus 291 questions. You still get so much valuable information from this tool. The reason why we came up with this assessment is because we know that 291 questions may be a lot, but maybe for some, but we think that the problem is the student to counselor ratio, And we know that with the strong, you need to have an interpretation. Now with the super strong, you don't.
In the state of California, it's over 900 students to one career counselor. And you need to have 200 students to one career counselor for career counseling to have any measurable effect. So when we think about scale, that's really where we're focused to start, is scaling that career counseling function. We want to provide those meaningful experiences and self-interpretable experiences, because humans simply aren't going to be available for every student.
The super strong, it's a very easy, you access this through the computer, through your smartphone, through a tablet, and the student is able to answer the questions and then they get their result. It's pretty interactive, so they're able to see, different careers they can explore. They can click on different things and just get their mind working in that direction, just trying to see what else there is out there.
So a big deal about the super strong is that the user gets their results instantaneously. And another big departure from previous assessments was you would give the user, here is what we know about you, go do something with it. So what we're trying to do now is bring the tools and techniques and information into the application itself. So as soon as I get my assessment, I can take it and run. I actually can see, oh, okay, I have these interests. What do I do with it? And we're like, oh, here's careers. And what do those careers do? It's like, oh, well, you could be this occupation. And what does that do? Well, here's the job task. Here's the salary range. Well, how do I get it? Well, here's the education you would need to get that. Might be a certificate, might be a 2-year school, could even be a PhD program. But at least the student now understands, oh, this is what I have to do to get there.
One of the things that I like about it too is that you can look at all these different types of jobs and then see if they're growing into the new economy of the 21st century.
And this is a good example. Electricians right now, skilled labor position, it's growth, and it's a green job. It's something that is looked upon, as something that's helping the environment. What I really like about the skills section is this is what's giving teachers actual things that they can work with at the secondary school level. These are skills that they can actually start developing when they're a younger person before they even get out of high school. And we've seen schools now using this to help align what they're teaching in school to prepare these people for this.
What we're looking for is to develop a lifelong learning platform that can deliver assessments, various insight, and then have people interact with that insight to find pathways in life and really ultimately, find happiness, right, and success in life.